Genesis chapter 30, Jacob's children. When the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, because the Lord has looked upon my affliction, for now my husband will love me. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, because the Lord has heard that I am hated, he has given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. Again she conceived and bore a son, and said, now the time my husband will be attached to me, because I have bore him 3 sons. Therefore his name will be called Levi. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, this time I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah. Then she ceased bearing. Chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister. She said to Jacob, give me children, or I shall die. Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in the place of God, who has withheld you from the fruit of the womb? Then she said, here is my servant Bilhah. Go into her, so that she may give birth on my behalf, that even may have children through her. So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife, and Jacob went in to her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Then Rachel said, God has judged me, and has also heard my voice, and given me a son. Therefore she called his name Dan. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again, and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, with mighty wrestling I have wrestled with my sister, and have prevailed. So she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had ceased bearing children, she took her servant Zilpah, and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Then Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son, and Leah said, good fortune has come. So she called his name Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son, and Leah said, happy am I, for a woman hath called me happy. She called his name Asher. In the days of wheat harvest, Reuben went and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. She said to her, it is a small matter that you have taken away my husband. Would you take away my son mandrakes also? Rachel said, then he may lie with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrake. When Jacob came from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him, and said, you must come into me, for I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. So he lay with her that night, and God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a 5th son. Leah said, God has given me my wages, because I gave my servant to my husband. She called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and she bore Jacob a 6th son. And Leah said, God has endowed me with a good endowment. Now my husband will honor me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. Afterwards she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel, and God listened to her, and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son, and said, God has taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, saying, may the Lord add to me another son. Jacob's prosperity. As soon as Rachel had bore Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, send me away, that I may go to my own home and country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, that I may go. For you know the service that I have given you. But Laban said to him, if I have found favor in your sight, I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. Name your wages, and I will give it. Jacob said to him, you yourself know I have served you, and how you livestock have fared with me. For you have had little before I came, and it was increased abundantly, and that the Lord has blessed you wherever I turn. But now when I shall provide for my own household also, He said, "What shall I give you?" Jacob said, "You shall not give me anything. If you will do this for me, I will again pasture your flock and keep it. Let me pass through all your flock today, removing from it every speckled and spotted sheep, every black lamb, and spotted and speckled among the goats, and then shall be my wages." So he honestly will answer for me later. When you come to look into my wages with you, every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and blacks among the lambs, if found with me, shall be counted stolen. Laban said, "Good, let it be as you have said." But the day Laban removed the male goats that were striped and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had white on it, every lamb that was black, and put them in the charge of his son. And he set a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob, and Jacob pastured the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took fresh sticks of poplar and almond and plane trees, and peeled white streaks in them, exposing the white of the stick. He set the sticks that he had peeled in front of the flock in the troughs, that is, the watering places, where the flocks came to drink. And since they bred, when they came to drink, the flocks bred in front of the sticks, and so the flocks brought forth striped and speckled, spotted. And Jacob separated the lambs, and set the faces of the flock toward the striped, and all the blacks in the flock of Laban. He put his own droves apart, and did not put them with Laban's flock. Whenever the strong of the flock were breeding, Jacob would lay the sticks in the trough before the eyes of the flock, that they might breed among the sticks. But for the feeble of the flock he would not lay them there. So the feeble would be Laban's, and the stronger Jacob. Thus the man increased greatly, and his larger flocks, female servants, male servants, and camels and donkeys. Chapter 31. Jacob flees from Laban. Now Jacob heard that the sons of Laban were saying, "Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has gained all the wealth." And Jacob saw that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Remember, return to the land of your fathers, to your kindred, and I will be with you." So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah into the field where his flocks was, and said to them, "I see that your father does not regard me with favor, as he did before. But the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength. Yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times, but God did not permit him to harm me. If he said, 'The spotted shall be your wages,' then all the flocks bore spotted. If he said, 'The striped shall be your wages,' then all the flocks bore striped. Thus God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. In the breeding season of the flock I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that the goats that mated with the flocks were striped, spotted, and molted. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, 'Jacob,' and I said, 'Here I am.' And he said, 'Lift up your eyes and see, all the goats that mate with the flocks are striped, spotted, and molted. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now arise, go out from this land, and return to the land of your kindred.' Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, 'Is there any portion of inheritance left for us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us. He has indeed devoured our money. All the wealth that God has taken away from our fathers belong to us and to our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do.' So Jacob arose and set his sons and his wives on camels. He drove away all the livestock, all his property that he had gained. Then the livestock in his possession that he had acquired in Padoram, to go to the land of Canaan to his father's Isaac. Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods. And Jacob tricked Laban, the Aramean, by not telling him that he intended to flee. He fled with all that he had rose, and crossed the Ephrathite, and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. When it was told Laban on his third day that Jacob had fled, he took the kinsman with him and pursued him for 7 days, and followed close after him into the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night, and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." And Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen pitched tents in the hill country of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done, that you have tricked me and driven away my daughters, like captives of the sword? Why do you flee secretly and trick me, and did not tell me that I might have sent you away with mirth and song, with tambourine and lyre? And why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and daughters farewell? Now you have done foolishly. It is my power to do you harm. But the God of your father spoke to me last night. Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. Now you have gone away because you long greatly for your father's house. But why do you steal my gods?" Jacob answered and said to Laban, "Because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force. Anyone with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of our kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours, and take it." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the 2 female servants, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's. Now Rachel has taken the household gods and put them in the camel's saddle and sat on them. Laban felt all about the tent, but did not find them. She said to her fathers, "Let not my lord be angry, that I cannot rise before you, for the way of a woman is upon me." So he searched, but he did not find the household gods. Then Jacob became angry and berated Laban. Jacob said to Laban, "What is my offense? What is my sin, that you have hotly pursued me? For you have felt through all my goods. What have you found of all your household goods? Set it before your kinsman and your kinsman, that you may decide between us two. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. What was torn by wild beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. For my hand you required it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Then I was by day, and heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and my sheep fled from my eyes. For 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flocks. And you have charged my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God saw my afflictions and labored of my hands, and rebuked you last night." Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, "The daughters of my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day for these my daughters, or for their children whom they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I. Let it be with a witness between you and me." So Jacob took a stone and set it as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, "Gather stones." And they took the stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called the Jagar Sadihala, but Jacob called it Gilad. Laban then heap a witness between you and me today. Therefore he named it Galeed and Mizpah. For he said, the Lord watch between you and me when we are out of one another's sight. If you oppress my daughters, or if you take wives beside my daughters, although no one is with us, God is witness between you and me. Then Laban said to Jacob, see this heap and the pillows which I have set between you and me. The heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over the heap to you, and you will not pass over the heap and this pillar to me to do harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their fathers, judge between us. So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac that Jacob offered a sacrifice in the hill country and called his kinsmen to eat bread. They ate bread and spent the night in hill country. Early in the morning Laban arose, kissed his granddaughters and his daughters, and blessed them. Laban departed and returned home. Chapter 32, Jacob fears Esau. Jacob went on his way, and the angel of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's camp. So he called the name of this place Mahanaim. Then Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, instructing them that thus you shall say to my lord Esau, thus says your servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flocks, and male servants, female servants I have sent to all my lord, in order that I may find favor in your sight. And the messenger returned to Jacob, saying, I came to your brother Esau, and he is coming to meet you, and there are 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. He divided his people who were with him, and the flocks and herds and camels, into 2 camps, thinking, if Esau came to the one camp and attack it, then the camp that is left will escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, return to your country and to your kindred, that I may do you good. I am not worthy of the least of all the deeds of steadfast love and all the faithfulness that you have shown to your servant, for with only my staff I crossed this Jordan. And now I have become 2 camps. Please deliver me from the hands of my brother, from the hands of Esau, for I fear him, that he may come and attack me, the mothers with the children. But you said, I will surely do you good, and make your offspring as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitudes. So he stayed there that night, and for what he had with him he took presents for his brother Esau, 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, 20 rams, 30 milk camels and their calves, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, 10 male donkeys. These he handed over to his servants, every dove by himself, and said to his servants, pass on ahead of me, put a space between dove and dove. He instructed the first, when Esau my brother meets you, and asks you, to whom do you belong? Where are you going? Whose are these ahead of you? Then you shall say, they belong to your servant Jacob. They are a present sent to my lord Esau, and moreover he is behind us. He likewise instructed the second and the third, and all who follow the doves. You shall say the same thing to Esau when you find him. And you shall say, moreover, your servant Jacob is behind us. For he thought, I might appease him with the present that goes ahead of me, and afterwards I shall see his face. Perhaps he will accept me. So the presents passed on ahead of him, and he lifted himself, stayed that night in the camp. Jacob wrestles with God. The same night he arose and took his 2 wives, the 2 female servants, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream. and everything else that he had, and Jacob was left alone. A man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched his hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day has broken." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Then he said, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men, and have prevailed." Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." But he said, "Why is that to you? Ask my name." There he blessed him. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, saying, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet the life has not been delivered." The sun rose upon him as he passed Peniel, limping because of his hip. Therefore to this day the people of Israel did not eat the sinews of the thigh that is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip of the sinew of that thigh. Jacob meets Esau, chapter 33. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, 400 men with him. So he divided his children among Leah and Rachel and the 2 female servants. He put the servants with their children in front, then Leah with her children, and Rachel and Joseph last of all. He himself went on before him, bowing himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And when Esau lifted up his eyes and saw the women and children, he said, "Who are these with you?" Jacob said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the servants drew near, they and their children, and bowed down. Leah likewise and her children drew near and bowed down. And like Joseph and Rachel drew near, and they bowed down. Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company that I met?" Jacob answered, "To find favor in the sight of my Lord." But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." Jacob said, "No, please. If I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand, for I have seen your face, which is like seeing the face of God, and you have accepted it. Please accept my blessing that you brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, because I have enough." Thus he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, "Let us journey on our way. I will go ahead of you." But Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are frail, and that the nursing flocks and herds are care to me. If they are driven hard for one day, all the flocks will die. Let my Lord pass on ahead of your servant, and I will lean on slowly. At the pace of the livestock they are ahead of me, and at the pace of the children until I come to my Lord and serve." So Esau said, "Let me leave with you some of the people who are with me." But he said, "What need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way to serve. But Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. And Jacob called safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, on his way to Padan-aram, and he camped before the city. And from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he brought for 100 pieces of money the pieces of land on which he pitched his tent. There he erected an altar and called it Elohei Israel. The defiling of Dinah. 34. Now Dinah, his daughter of Leah, whom she had bore to Jacob, went out to see the woman of the land. When Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her, he seized her and lay with her and humiliated her. And his soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Get me this girl for my wife." Now Jacob heard that he had defiled his daughter Dinah, but his son were with her livestock in the field, so Jacob held his peace until they came. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. The sons of Jacob had come in from the field, and soon as they heard of it, the men were indignant and very angry, because he had done an outrageous thing in Israel by laying with Jacob's daughter, for such a thing must not be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, the soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to me to be his wife. Make marriage with us. Give your daughter to us, and take our daughters for yourselves. You shall dwell with us, and the land shall be open to you. Dwell and trade in it, and get property in it. Shechem also said to her father and to her brother, let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me I will give. Ask me for as great a bride price, and give as you will, and I will give whatever you say. Only give me the young woman to be my wife. The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, because he had defiled their sister Dinah. They said to them, we cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that will be a disgrace to us. Only on this condition will we agree with you, that you will become as we are, and every male among you to be circumcised. Then he will give our daughters to you, and you will take your daughters to ourselves, and when we will dwell with you and become one people. But if you will not listen to us and be circumcised, then we will take our daughters, and we will be gone. The words pleased Hamor and Hamor's son Shechem, and the young men did not delay to do the things, because he delighted in Jacob's daughter. Now he was most honored of all the father's house. So Hamor and his son Shechem came to the gate of the city, and spoke to the men of their city, saying, these men are at peace with us. Let them dwell in the land and trade in it, for behold, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives, and let us give them our daughters, only on the condition with the men agree to dwell with us, to become our people, when every male among us is circumcised as they are circumcised. Will not their livestock, their property, and all their beasts be ours? Only let us agree with them, and they will dwell with us. And all who went out of the gate of the city listened, as Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of his city. On the third day, when they were sore, two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took the swords and came against the city while it felt secure, and killed all the males. They killed Hamor, his son Shechem, with the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister, and took their flocks, their herds, their donkeys, whatever was in the city and in the field, all their wealth, all their little ones, their wives, all that were in the houses, they captured and plundered. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have brought trouble on me by making me stink to the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites and the Perizzites. My numbers are few, and if they gather themselves against me and attack me, I shall be destroyed, both I and my household. But they said, should he treat our sisters like a prostitute? God blesses renamed Jacob. Chapter 35. God said to Jacob, arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there. Make an altar there to the God who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau. So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, put away the foreign gods that are among you, purify yourselves, change your garments. Then he let us arise and go up to Bethel, so that I may make there an altar to the God whom answers me in the day of my distress. He has been with me wherever I am gone. So they gave to Jacob all the foreign gods that they had, and the rings that were in their ears. Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree that was near Shechem. And as they journeyed, territory far from God fell upon the cities that were around them, so that they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. And Jacob came to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him. And there he built an altar and called the place El Bethel, because there God had revealed himself to him. When he had fled his brothers, and Deborah, rebuked nurse, died, and said she was buried under the oak tree Bethel. So he called the name Alobocho. God appeared to Jacob again, and when he came to Padan Aram, and blessed him, and God said to him, Your name is Jacob no longer. Your name so be called Jacob, but Israel shall be your name. So he called his name Israel. And God said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall come from you. The king shall come from your own body. The land that I give to Abraham, Isaac, I will give to you. And I will give the land to your offspring after you. Then God went up from him in the place where he had spoken with him. And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he had spoken with him, a pillar of stone. He poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. So Jacob called the name of the place where God had spoken with him Bethel. The death of Rachel and Isaac. Then they journeyed from Bethel. When they were still some distance from the Ephraim, Rachel went into labor, and she had hard labor. And when her labor was at its hardest, the midwife said to her, Do not fear, for you have another son. And her soul was departing from her. She was dying. She called his name Benoni. But her father called his name Benjamin. So Rachel died, and she was buried on the way to Ephraim, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set up a pillar over her tomb. It is the pillar of Rachel's tomb, which is there to this day. Israel journeyed on and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Adar. While Israel lived in the land, Reuben went and lay with Beulah, his wife concubine, and Israel heard of it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12, the sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Beulah, Rachel's servant, Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's servant, Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob, who were born to him at Padan Aram. And Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abram and Isaac had sojourned. Now the day of Isaac were 180 years, and Isaac breathed his last, and he died, and gathered to his people, old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Esau's descendants, chapter 36. These are the generations of Esau, that is Edom. Esau took his wives from the Canaanites, Ada the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, Oholibamah the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, a Hivite, the Basmath, Ishmael, daughter, the sister of Nabiel, and the Edar bore of Esau, Eliphaz, Basemath, bore Ruel, Olahabama, bore Jehaz, Jelon, and Koram. These are the sons of Esau, who were born to him in the land of Canaan. Then Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the members of his household, his livestock, all the beasts, and his property that he had acquired in the land of Canaan. He went into the land away from his brother Jacob, for the possessions were too great for them to dwell together. The land of the sojourners could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau settled in the hill country of Seir, Esau in Edom. These are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of the Esau sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reuel, the son of Basemath, the wife of Esau; the sons of Eliphaz with Teman; Omar, Zepho, Gatham, Binos. Teman was concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's sons, and bore Amalek to Eliphaz. These are the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Reuel, Nahath, Zerah, Zamah, Meslah. These are the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Oholibam, the daughters of Anah, the daughters of Zibeon, Esau's wife. She bore to Esau Jeus, Jalam, and Korah. These are the chiefs of the sons of Esau, the son of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, the chief Teman, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatham, Amalek. These are the chiefs of Eliphaz, the land of Edom. These are the sons of Adah. These are the sons of Reuel, Esau's sons, the chief Nahath, Zerah, Shema, Mizah. These are the chiefs of Reuel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Oholibah, Esau's wife, the chiefs Jeus, Jalam, Korah. These are the chiefs bore to Oholibah, the daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, that is Edom, and these are the chiefs. These are the sons of Seir of Hittite, the inhabitants of the land: Lothan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishar, Azor, Dishan. These are the chiefs of the Hittites, the sons of Seir in the land of Edom, the sons of Lathan, Huharite, and Hormah. The Lathan's sister was Tamar. These are the sons of Sebo, Elvan, Menahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Oneh. These are the sons of Zibeon, Anah. He is Anah, who found the springs in the wilderness as he pastured the donkeys in Zibeon, his father. These are the children of Anah, Dishon, and Oholibamah, the daughters of Anah. These are the sons of Dishon: Hedon, Eshban, Iteran, Shiran. These are the sons of Ezor: Bilhah, Zerah, Achan. These are the sons of Dishon: Uz, Aran. These are the chiefs of the Hittites: the chief Lothan, Shobal, Zebon, Anah, Dishon, Ezor, Dishon. These are the chiefs of the Hittites, chiefs by the chiefs of the land of Seir. These are the kings who reign in the land of Edom. These are the kings reign over the Israelites. Beulah and the sons of Beulah reign in Edom. The names of the city being Dinahaba. Beulah died, and Jobab, the son of Zerah, reigned in his place. Jobab died, and Rushan of the land of the Temanites reigned in his place. Hushan died, and Hodad, the son of Bedad, was defeated. Midian in the country of Moab reigned in his place, the name of the city being Avit. Hadad died. Shemelah and Morekeh reigned in his place. Shelah died. Rehoth on the Yepherites reigned in his place. Shul died, and Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbar, reigned in his place. Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbar, died, and Hudad reigned in his place, the name of the city being Paul. The wife's name was Mehatabah, the daughter of Matrach, daughter of Mezabah. These are the names of the chief of Esau, according to their clan and their dwelling, placed by their names of the chief: Tamar, Elvad, Jehith, Oholibamah, Elah, Peon, Kenaz, Tamar, Mizpah, Megadah, Iran. These are the chiefs of Edom, that is Esau, the father of Edom, according to their dwelling places in the land of their possession. Joseph's Dream, chapter 37. Jacob lived in the land of his father, sojourning in the land of Canaan. These are the generation of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was pasturing the flock of his brothers. He was a boy with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other his sons, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a robe of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peacefully to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, "Hear this dream that I have dreamed. Behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and behold, my sheaf rose and stood upright, and behold, your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." His brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us? Are you indeed to rule over us?" So they hated him even more for his dream and for his words. Then he dreamed another dream, and he told it to his brothers and said, "Behold, I have dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." But when he told it to his father and his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come and bow ourselves to the ground before you?" And his brothers were jealous of him. But his father kept the saying in mind. Joseph sold by his brothers. Now his brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, "Are you not your brothers pasturing the flock of the Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." And he said to him, "Here I am." So he said to him, "Go now, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring me word." So he sent him away to the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. A man found him and wandering in the field, and the man asked him, "What are you seeking?" "I am seeking my brothers," he said. "Tell me, please, where they are pasturing the flock." And the man said, "They have gone away, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. They saw him from afar, and before he came near to them, they conspired against him to kill this dreamer. "Come now, let us kill and throw him into one of the pits. Then we will say that a fierce animal had devoured him, and he will see what will become of his dream." But when Reuben heard it, he rescued him out of their hands, saying, "Let us not take his life." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, throw him in a pit here in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him, for he might rescue him out of their hands to restore him to their father." So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the robe of many colors that he wore, and they took him and threw him in the pit. The pit was empty. There was no water in it. Then he sat down and ate. Looking up, and he saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with the camels, bearing gum, balm, and myrrh, on their way to carry it down to Egypt. Then Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him. The Midianites, traders, passed by, and they drew Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit, and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. They took Joseph to Egypt. Then Reuben returned to the pit and saw that Joseph was not in the pit. He tore his clothes and returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone, and where shall I go?" Then they took Joseph's robe and slaughtered a goat and dipped the robe in blood. And they sent it the robe in the many colors, and brought it to their father and said, "This is we have found. Please identify whether it is your son's robe or not." And he identified it and said, "It is my son's robe. A fierce animal had devoured him," said Joseph. "It's without doubt torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his garment and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his sons many days. All the sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, But he refused to be confident and said, No, I shall go down to Sheol to my son, mourning. Thus the father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites had sold him in Egypt. Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, Judah and Tamar. Chapter 38. It happened at the time that Judah went down from his brothers and turned aside to a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hera. Then Judah saw the daughter